episode of the Mind of the Marketer live sessions. Today, we are going to be diving deep or starting our process of diving deep into AI agents. It's something that I have been kind of obsessed with recently. I'm going to be honest with you, when I first started looking into AI agents, I couldn't really tell the difference between a traditional Zapier flow or, I've been going to show my age here for a second, IFTTT, where it was basically just kind of like if this, then that type statements where it was a little bit more linear. But as I have really dove into AI agents and what they're capable of, and really started building our own, I've really started to realize how powerful these things are, and really how powerful they're going to be. And I've got a lot of thoughts on this that I'm going to dive deep in today's session with you. So if y'all are using AI agents, go ahead and let me know in the chat. I'm always curious to know more about use cases and how everyone else is using them. But what I want to do today, because I'm going to do a series of live sessions on AI agents, I'm going to start at the very beginning because I'm also not going to pretend like I'm an expert on this stuff. And I think the good thing about this is that there's very few experts out there, and it's so much in the infancy that there's still a tremendous amount of opportunity and learning that we can do around these things. So I just want to keep publishing content information as we start building these. I'm going to walk you through how we're building them, the tools, the technology, the process. But what I want to start by doing is just giving a little breakdown of what these AI agents are and how they work, because I was doing a coaching call yesterday, and it was readily apparent on that coaching call that a lot of the people on that call were not overly familiar with them. So let's just start at the very, very basics. Let's define what an AI agent is. So I've got this mirror board here, and I actually asked ChatGPT to break down what an AI agent is in its simplest form and talk to me like I'm five here. So imagine if you have an employee, a human employee that's driven by AI, that's sitting on your desktop, sitting on your computer. This is what's called an AI agent. It can read, it can write, it can remember things, just like a real assistant. It's literally, I have a note here too in terms of like what's the difference between traditional Zapier flows, which have been around for a while, right? We use Zapier across our business. We call it like the duct tape of our business because it allows us to stitch different platforms together. It allows us to take our Calendly flow, right? When we book a lead, push it into our CRM, right? And then push that also into Slack. So we stitch all these things together, but it's very linear. It's more task automation. AI agents are job and role automation. And this is where it starts to get a little bit scary for those of you that are concerned about AI taking over and stealing jobs. This is to me the beginning of that real conversation of the technology that's actually able to do that. Again, these are very much so in their infancy, and I'm going to run you through again a lot of use cases and different scenarios here. But think of Zapier as linear, like a linear flow, right? Like when a lead comes in, push it here. When that lead moves to this stage, send an email. Very, very linear. It doesn't really have a brain behind it. And that's really what an AI agent is. It's basically taking Zapier, the easiest way to think about it, and jamming ChatGPT inside of it and allowing it to think and make decisions and conversate and remember stuff, and build and iterate on it over time. And you can train it over time as well. So AI agents can listen to you, can read emails, Slack messages, notes. It can think and decide, understands what people are trying to say and figures out what to do next. It can take action. It can send emails, update CRMs, remind you about follow-ups, and even chat with you. I saw this one guy on YouTube who built a really cool personal assistant AI agent, because there's a conversational element to it where he had built it so he could send voice notes through his computer, right, through a chat interface. And then it was running the AI agent in the background. So he's like, hey, tell me what's on my calendar today. And it'll list it out. And you say, hey, move this 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., 11 a.m. and send them an email. And it was able to do that just through conversation. It was really, really cool. So like a true assistant. And once you plug everything together, which I'm going to walk through how and what that looks like here, you can really start to get the wheels turning on what you can do with these things, and you can build and iterate them on over time. So again, roughly speaking, when it comes to an AI agent, right, think much more about job as opposed to task. What I mean by that, again, is Zapier will stitch two things together very linear. An AI agent should be thought, in my opinion, much more of like a job role, account manager, project manager, content writer, creative person, whatever that looks like, right? So there's two parts of it, right? There's a brain, and then there's the instructions that we give that brain. Now the brain is really, you can plug different LLMs into it, but for the most part, you're probably going to use ChatGPT, and then you're just giving it prompts. Now, again, this is very similar to how a normal ChatGPT would work, right? You give it an input, and these inputs or how we talk to the agent, the direction that we gives it. This could be different every single time. So again, just think about that personal assistant one. The input is me saying, what's on my calendar? Move this here. That's an input that then runs it through the brain. The prompts are static. The prompts are telling this LLM, our agent here, how to handle these different prompts and instructions. And again, obviously, if you used AI before, you know that you don't need to give it a ton of information because it can kind of figure things out on its own. You just need to give it some direction. And the output, of course, is the end goal that we want. Now, where these things get really, really lethal is right down here on the tools and or API. So ideally, right, you can connect as many different tools as possible. But basically, any platform that has an API, we can plug into here. So for context, the one that we're building right now is a sales. I do a lot of sales for our agency, and it's very, very tedious because there's a lot of things that take quite a bit of my time that I haven't been able to automate before in the past because just using Zapier, it didn't have the ability to think through things and the nuances of conversation. So what I mean by this, and I'm going to kind of walk you through the next step of how we're actually building this and where we're building it and all that different stuff. But essentially our sales process, right? I have a discovery call. After that discovery call is recorded. After that discovery call is recorded, I would have to log into Zoom. I would have to take that physical file. I would have to add it physically into our CRM. Then I would have to manually put in my notes from that call. Then I would pass that to somebody on our sales team who would then do the analysis, all this different stuff, move it across the different stages. What we're now building is an AI agent that all I have to do is show up to the calls, and then essentially what we're training it to do is it will pull the Zoom recording from the Zoom API, right? The Zoom API, cloud recording, pulls it from there. It will automatically transcribe the notes, summarize the notes, and then it will automatically push it to our ActiveCampaign CRM via the API. So we'll add it to the deal, add it to the contact, add the notes and the recording. And then what we'll do is it will send a Slack notification to that teammate saying, hey, this deal is now ready for you to do the analysis portion of this process. So that's one part of it, right? That's just automating. Now you might say that's great, but like how much time is it really saving you? Well, I do about 15 of those calls per week. That adds up to about 2 to 3 hours of my personal time. That's just useless busy work, right? Like it's not a good use of my time or really anyone's time to be logging into platforms, grabbing information, pasting. It's a waste of time. So that's step one of the automation. Then step two is going to be then to automatically follow up and essentially continuously clean and prune and update our pipeline for us. So based on the stages that we have set inside of our CRM, it's going to read the context of past emails with that contact. So inside of our deals CRM, every contact has a chat history. We're now deploying the LLM, the brain, to understand the context of those and even training it to say, okay, like understand the dates of what they said. So if the last email was sent 2 months ago and the person responded and saying, yeah, we're not ready, let's follow up with us Q4, send them an email Q4, understand the context of that email and send it to them. So again, previously, the only thing available to us was linear things, meaning if I would move a contact from stage to stage, then the CRM would send them an automated templated canned email. No thought, just send them this email. Hey, thanks for our call. We're working on your proposal. Now we're able to deploy some thought against that, right? Some thinking against reading the context, sending them the notes from the call saying, hey, you can expect this proposal within 2 or 3 days. And I'll also be able to control that from a chat platform. We're going to use Slack. So after I get off the call, I'll be able to chat with Slack, which will then tell the AI agent and send it the information that I need in terms of follow-ups. And I'll also have it check with me too. So it'll send me a message every single day saying, these are the emails and the context that we have planned. Do you approve these? Right? So I'll be able to see them and approve them before they go out. So again, small things like this that if you've ever done sales before and try to do email follow-ups, it can be like a whole entire half a day of going through the size of our pipeline, if not more, right? So it understands context, it understands different platforms. We can stitch all these different things together and it's far more impactful and effective. So let's talk a little bit about now how we're going to do this. So we're using a platform called N8N. There's other good platforms like Make.com. We started off using Zapier, but from the consultants that I paid to help me out with this, they had told me that N8N is a much more robust platform. So this is what the backend looks like, right? So if you come into N8N here, this is what we started to build out. Very, very simple and rudimentary. I'm not going to be the person that trains you how to use this platform, because I have people in my business that are doing this. And this is, I mean, if you can learn how to do this, but I started doing this and I was like, this is not going to be a good use of my time. So I have an analytics specialist who builds all of our Zaps, who's going to build this stuff for me. I'll show you what I'm giving him and how I'm giving that to him, because that to me is the most important part. So we're going to wrap up with, so make sure you stay tuned, because I'm going to tell you exactly how to build this out without having to build this out. So once you build this all out, again, these are all the different tools down here that I connected to this one. The webhook is a start. They're using OpenAI. This is the memory sequence, and then responding to it, right? So just kind of a rough look at, to me, like, context helps, right? So if you're just getting started with this, understanding the context of what this is the platform that you can build it in. And again, you just come in here and connect the chat model. So like if this is OpenAI chat, there's other ones you can use too. Right, you're basically just going to connect ChatGPT to it. Again, I'm not going to mess around with this stuff. I don't think it's a good use of my time, or it's extremely boring for you to watch me do this. But what I do want to talk to you about is understanding the processes and the use cases that you can use this for, right? So I am actually using, it's like Inception. I'm using AI to build this for me. So I literally did this all within 2 hours yesterday. So I'm just going to run you through the process, and the output of this is explicit directions that I then pass to my analytics specialist. Or if you have somebody who can build these for you, you can pass them literally a JSON file that they can just use to create the exact flow that you want. So you can design this without having the technical knowledge. You can build these without having the technical knowledge, and then you can just basically hire someone, contract someone to then actually go into N8N or Make.com, whatever it is, to actually build this. But this is what you should be responsible for, because you're the person who's doing this stuff. I'm the person who's doing sales. I want to make sure that I'm the one who has a direct input on it. So I just kind of started by asking it, and again, this is why AI is so great, guys, is like, just a quick note before I do this, is that I'm able to learn this incredibly quickly. I'm not necessarily the most technical person. A lot of this stuff goes way over my head, but between YouTube and then going directly to ChatGPT or Claude and just asking it questions, specific questions, dude, you can speed up the learning process on this stuff extremely quickly. You can learn with it as it goes. So let's talk. Let me just show you how I built the exact output that I passed to my guy, and he was like, "This is perfect. I have no questions. I'll have this done by the end of the week." It's really that easy. So this says, I want to build an AI agent to help me manage my marketing agency CRM. We use ActiveCampaign as a CRM. Something I struggle with is email follow-ups. Can you design an agent for me that will send follow-ups and re-engagement sequences to lead based on where they are in my pipeline, right? So it's starting that design process of this agent for me in a very simple bulleted list format. So it spits all these things out: re-engagement sequences, email timing delivery, conversational AI, CRM workflow, how the agent works step by step, define pipeline stage. I'm just going to skim past this because I iterate on this a number of times. So the next thing that I told it was, I said, I want to build this in N8N, right? I have a platform in mind. Let's get more specific. Can you write the step-by-step instructions for how I can set this up? Step one, define workflow logic. So it goes through and uses the specific platform language, triggers, nodes, automation, logic. These are things that are somewhat unique to N8N and how we're actually going to build this AI agent. Then it talks about how to set up the N8N instance, right? If you don't have it set up, connecting ActiveCampaign, setting up all the triggers, new contact added. Literally, man, this is like starting to get better and better and better, right? So then after this, I said, okay, this is a good start. But like, what's a node, right? I don't know what a node is. Can you help me define what a node is? Help me understand this a little bit more. And then I said, okay, I'm going to list some things that I want in the agent. Can you tell me if it's possible? Number one, the first step we do is a discovery call with a prospect over Zoom. We record the call and then manually add it to the notes section. Can you automate this? Two, I want to have a chat feature with the agent where I can give it some notes from the discovery call and add ActiveCampaign. Is this possible, basically? And it says, yes, this is possible. Here's how to do it. For both of them. Here, yes, this is possible. Chat in Slack or on WhatsApp, right? We use Slack, so that's perfect for me. Just drop it right into Slack. So now we come down here again, and I said, okay, now let's start integrating all this stuff together. Can you put together a new process of all the new things now? It puts together this process for me. Don't worry, I'm going to show you the final process in a second. And then I got very, very hyper specific now, because now I'm starting to wrap my head around it. So I'm saying, okay, now I'm reading through this. I'm starting to see the gaps for what else I need, right? And guys, like, the sky's the limit here. Whatever you want, you can just put it into, like, you're having AI build you an AI agent. It's like I said, it's like Inception. It's pretty nuts. So I said the only way to generate a lead into our business is through booking on a Calendly form. You can't call us, you can't email us, you can't submit a form. You only book through a Calendly form, which is in bed, right? So when a prospect completes the booking in Calendly, the lead should be sent to ActiveCampaign into the deals pipeline. The contact should be created or matched if it's in there already, and the responses from the Calendly form should be added into deals. They should be added to awaiting discovery in the pipeline. The lead should be pushed into our Slack channel and the Weber's channel, right? So add to ActiveCampaign, add the notes, and then also notify us in Slack that a new lead has come in. Then I also went down and went in and broke down the stages inside of our pipeline. So these are the stages in our pipeline that we have, and I defined it for it. So stuck nurturing, awaiting discovery, awaiting analysis proposal, awaiting decision, deal one, blah, 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 etc. So now it goes through and it built me a step-by-step, customizing it even more to what we're doing. So step one, automate lead creation and CRM updates. From Calendly, it tells me what it updates, and then it goes step by step how it works inside of N8N. So again, this thing is literally building me the SOP for the agent. This is in less than 30 minutes. So what I've done is I then put this, I give it some more iterations, but I'll just kind of like get to the final version here. I put it inside of Google Docs. And now, so I literally took it, copied it, pasted it into Google Docs. And I still go back and forth with ChatGPT as needed. But now I've got a literally working SOP that I'm working with my team to now build this out. And again, like I said, this should be done by the end of the week. And then I also had to go through and say, give me the exact, so this gives me a ready to import JSON file, which is amazing because my developer, my analytics guy can just take this. But now I also said, I want to add more granular follow-ups. These are what I want from the follow-ups. This is the cadence that I want. So again, it just keeps on adding this stuff into it, and I keep building and building and building on it right here, and it rewrites all of it for me. It's incredibly fast. And I say, can you also make a list of all the APIs I need so my developer knows? This thing listed out all the APIs that I need in order to build this thing out. ActiveCampaign, Gmail, Slack, Calendly, Zoom, OpenAI, Google Calendar, etc. Right? So now I just copy and paste this thing over here, and I've literally got this step-by-step SOP here to build out this CRM automation. Guys, this is like 2 hours worth of work. It'll probably take my analytics guy like 10 hours maybe to build this out because it's gonna be his first time. But now, again, I've got a job that is being automated. And this is not something that is like a linear process where this is set and done. Now we can keep adding to it and we keep iterating on it. So all these things that keep coming up in terms of email follow-ups, in terms of adding in text message follow-ups, maybe in terms of adding customized nurture sequences, in terms of going through our pipeline, right? Like I plan to build like an SDR inside of here that will then also bring me back contacts from, past pipelines over the past 2 years. I can't tell you guys, like I've spent so much money on humans to do this, on SDRs and re-engagement sequences and all this different stuff, that it cost so much money and it didn't quite deliver. But now I can just tell something over Slack, which has, again, previously, if you've ever done like CRM management and follow-ups, this has taken hours and hours and hours. It's literally why sales is a full-time job, is because of a lot of this stuff. So this is now done. And my team, you can see us going forward and just kind of adding comments in here, iterating on it, is now being built. And this is just number one. I have the JSON in here as well. Everything here is done. Let me know if you guys have any questions on this, because I think this is really, really, really important for non-technical people like me. I mean, I understand technical things, but like I would not consider myself a developer or a coder or any of this stuff. And again, like I went into N8N, saw this, and I was like, oh, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to spend my freaking time doing this. This is a waste of my time. But what I can do is I can design the workflow. I can design the process because it's my process. It's something that I do. So I'm just going to keep going through this. So I'm building a sales agent. The next thing that I'm going to build is a new client. Like I'm going to take, again, I'm trying to get myself in the habit of stop thinking in terms of process flow and start thinking in terms of role. So the next role that we're going to automate is account manager. So as soon as this deal is now signed and closed inside of our CRM, I'm going to build an agent that sends the onboarding email, that builds the Google Drive folder, that gets all the templates together for us, that notifies the team that we have a new client, right? That follows up with a client. If they haven't booked a follow-up call, that it automatically follows up with them, right? These are all jobs that I've had to hire before in the past, that it's one of those jobs inside of the agency business where I'm like, man, like I'm paying 40, 60, 70K a year for this person. that can now be automated, completely automated by this. So building project plans, right? Like I'm going to teach it to say, here's a statement of work, here's a scope of work, turn this into a project plan inside of ClickUp, right? Because ClickUp has an API. So if we come back here again, anything that has an API, I can then push that directly into it. So I'm going to have it build the project plan and push it directly into ClickUp for us. So no more just kind of like spitting out Word documents. We're talking about fully completed outputs that this thing can do for us. So if you start thinking about the jobs and roles inside of your business that are tedious, are repetitive, you find yourself doing over and over again, that you've kind of been able to previously stitch together with Zapier, like duct tape it together. Now you can add essentially a human brain on top of that with an AI agent saying, these processes that were partially automated linearly, right, in terms of step by step, now I can add the brain in for context. Now I can add the LLM, the chat GPT inside of this to say, okay, customer onboarding, we can automate part of this for sure, but now I can completely automate it because my brain inside of my agent here can understand the context. They can understand the scope of the work. That might be different from previous things. You can understand how to build the project plan, how to send it inside of Slack to the team on time, every time, right? So I have this goal now, this vision, for this business and for inside of the Blueprint Training, the training company that I have for digital agencies, of this one person agency. Like if you're kind of just getting started, you've been struggling to hire people and build a team, this, guys, is your is your saving grace. This is going to help you to reduce the reliance on people, increase your profit margins, speed things up. You can pass that savings on to your client. You can do this stuff for your clients. Like once you start to kind of wrap your head around this stuff and see what it can do, how fast it can do it, how cheap it can do it, and how much time it can save you, it's very powerful stuff, y'all. Very, very, very powerful stuff. Stacy said, I signed up for the Blueprint training this week. You had talked about one-person agencies, and this is a big step in that direction from day one for me. Absolutely, Stacy. This is something that I'm going to be talking about a lot more inside of the Blueprint training. I'm actually building this stuff out, Stacy, for my business because then I'm going to roll it out to Blueprint members. So again, something that I get asked from a lot of beginners inside of the Blueprint training who are just starting their agency is like, I'm in a position where I've grown enough doing $15,000, $20,000 a month, give or take. I want to hire someone. Who do I hire? Now you don't have to. Now you can just have these AI agents that are going to help you get to 50 to 100,000 maybe before you maybe have to bring somebody in, because what you're probably going to need now, and what I encourage everyone who's just getting started to do, instead of being like, I'm going to be an SEO expert, I would be an AI agent overlord expert. If you can understand how to build, like how to format the process behind this, how to document the process behind this, and how to get this built, you are like, this is the not just the agency of the future in terms of how we can operate internally, but this to me is like the offer of the future. Like I'm thinking about this in terms of our law firm clients too, where, and I talk about this a lot inside the Blueprint training, where you just said you come from the landscape design build industry and it was difficult to scale. This is scalable. Absolutely, Stacey. So like for context, right? What I know about the home services industry, landscaping, contractors, HVAC, plumbers, roofers, etc., there's no shortage of demand. And it's not really that hard to get leads because referrals come in. You can set up LSAs, you can get leads very easily, but what's really hard for them is the management of those leads. It's the project management. It is the dealing with, they get a phone call or a lead in and then it goes unanswered. They don't like, so you can use this as like a sales assistant for home services, right? You can build this out for them. And once you know how to do this, you don't have to charge a ton of money for it. That's why a lot of VCs are saying that like AI agents could be the death of SaaS, because if you know how to build these, you don't really you can basically build your own software by just stitching together APIs. As long as you have access to the APIs that you need, you can kind of build anything. So if you think about this for landscaping companies, I would be thinking about how I can build these different AI agents to help them manage the operations of their business. And then forget about SEO, forget about advertising. Like that's an offer that you can build for them. Like imagine if you can come in and be like, I'm going to automate. And not just automate too, like automate's kind of a dirty word in a lot of, it's a sexy word, but it's also kind of a dirty word because it denotes that it's not thinking, right? It's just following a linear process. This is now like, it's thinking through that automation too. It's a smart automation where it can send thoughtful, intelligent communications to people in a much different way. So, I would be thinking again, first, how do I do this for my business? And two, how can I roll this out for my clients? So again, for our law firm clients, we're thinking about their sales, their intake process. We're thinking about their customer onboarding, because right now, when I do a consult for law firms, their biggest issue is not always lead generation. It's mostly client management. It's mostly closing cases. It's mostly follow-ups and automation. Most of them don't even have a CRM. Most of them don't even have an email platform. So if we come in and build this for them, we're like, hey, we're not just going to set up ActiveCampaign or like MailChimp for you. We're going to automate the entire communication process. Like, you don't need this role anymore. We can do it for you for free, or we can do it for you for X, Y amount. So how much would you be paying an employee for this? $60,000 a year? Great. Pay us 5, you know? So this call today is all about context and understanding and wrapping your heads around the initial stages of this. And on the upcoming live calls that I'll be doing here, I'll be talking a lot more. I'll be sharing behind the scenes of the agents that we're building, once we deploy them, how they're working, and other things that we're working on. So again, we'll be doing this all inside of the Blueprint training too. I'm just working on building this for our business first, and then right after that, we'll be rolling this out. To our clients inside the Blueprint training. Anybody else got any thoughts? Any questions? Anybody out there building their own AI agents? And then let's close this thing down. All right. Well, I appreciate, as always, all your time and attention today. This is a fun one. I'm very much so looking forward to sharing our journey on this and our progress. So make sure to tune in every single Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern time, to catch me live going through these. If not, you can see these on my YouTube channel. They're all up there. Take care. God bless. Love you all.